So the aircraft comes in, boom, picks her up, total control, very clean lift. The aircraft had much more performance left in it. We joked that the horse had a dream. She was a Pegasus there. So there's just some marijuana stuff there. We love busting these guys because they destroy the area they're growing in. You know, they leave their trash all over the place. The deputies joke they like to leave a business card and leave one plant and tell them if they want their marijuana to come and get it. Yeah, they were burning it. So this is El Cap. This is, there's the boot right there. This is a pretty common rescue point. They just did one on this side. It's amazing how some of those people will stay alive. But they say that this rock face, just because it's texture, it's very difficult to judge how close you are. So the flight officer's telling the pilot, hey, you need to come left 7 feet. And he's like, well, we only have 10 feet of clearance. They actually will bring a rescuer in right here, and then they'll look up and actually call the clearance from the bottom. So they'll
tell you got 20 feet, and you're like, I
can see it. It's right there. We shouldn't get any closer.
So I was staring so hard at the tip, so the rotor blades, and the contrast of the rock. I was like, my eyes were, it was like I was bawling. And he's telling me I got 20 feet. And I'm like, if I move 3 feet, and we hit this thing, I mean, it's tight.
And so this is a one skid. This is up at Bixby Bridge. Guy straightened out the bridge up there and launched his motorcycle down to the bottom, and he ended up in this area somewhere. So what they did was they brought this firefighter in. Right here, the aircraft's actually half flying. This skid is out in space, and then this skid is on the ground right here. And we'll load and unload from the aircraft like that. We train in it a lot. It seems seems pretty scary, but once for us you're either committed to the ground, you're safe, or you're committed to the aircraft and you're safe. Me and Dave did one. This guy, he's back behind Lopez out there, crashed his motorcycle, and he doesn't know where he's at. He's gone off trail because he's wise. So we find him. We find him down in this gorge. There's a creek in the bottom, trees on the right, and there's just no real way to get him. So we're gonna have to do a one skid. We're coming in. Dave's flying us in there. It's very tight, and the guy's walking to the aircraft. We haven't even landed yet. I'm like, get back, get back. Watch out for the tail rotor. It's gonna kill you. So he goes up the hill just a little ways. I'm trying to help Dave land, tell him what I see on my side. He gets our one skid down, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna slide, I'm gonna get out. I'll stay on the step to keep the weight on the aircraft. I'll open the door. We'll put him in the back seat there. I turn, I slide the door open. Dave's like, get it done. You know, we gotta get out of here. It's a terrible place to be. I turn, and the guy's standing next to me. In the rotor system, must have been about 3 feet off the ground as the hill was an incline. I was like, I don't even know how I got here. I couldn't believe it. So I told him, I said, hey, what was your problem? Why would you approach an aircraft that's trying to land? He said, well, I thought it was like on TV, you were going to lower one of those rope ladders down to me, and I was going to climb up the thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's probably what we were going to do.
Those people deserve to die. Seriously.
I'd say it was what?
Yeah. Job security.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, so that same thing, one skid there, that's just doing it on a rock. It's actually pretty safe sometimes. We were just trying to...
Yeah. There was not a pause in your voice at all when you said that. Not at all.
That was convincing.
We were loading up the SWAT guys one day, and Dave's got a... Actually, we should have fixed how he was landing, but he only had one small point touching the skid tube there. So he's just kind of wobbling around, and the guy climbs in there, changes the weight of the aircraft, and Dave's fighting it, and I'm trying to close the door, and Dave's trying to fly off. You know? I'm like, hey, wait a second, I gotta close the door here. This guy's
It's just like a car.
I was gonna say,
Just like a car.
yeah,
Just like a car.
This goes different places. This guy, he's gonna help himself. So there's some training we did with pacifier. I joked that we didn't do that to the car. Our helicopter is 5,000 pounds. It's funny, they'll put the skid on there. They can put it on the hood of the car and then really put some weight on there, and it'll bottom out the suspension, and then they get good resistance. then you're able to transfer. So this one's actually a step on or a step off, and we don't actually land. They just hold a hover right there. We'll grab their hand, they'll stand up onto the skid there, and then we'll tie them into their anchor and then seat them in the aircraft. This, we do some law enforcement stuff. Protective services, we do, it was funny, Halloween's coming up. Santa Cruz tries to get us every year up there for their little deal. Isla Vista wants us, Cal Poly wants us because it's on a Friday. And then the vice president's coming to town, so he just trumps everybody. The rain comes in, he doesn't show up, and then our mission book says to monitor all 3 of the colleges and respond appropriately. And I'm like, oh my goodness. We do a lot of crime scene or accident investigation photography, and then we do have video on the aircraft.
That's the old excursion super truck.
Oh yeah. Boss truck, huh?
Yep.
Is that an excursion?
Yeah.
You have a good gas mileage? It's a hybrid, I think. So that's our flashlight there. Kind of funny, we fly with goggles now. The guys are doing a rescue up on Bishop's Peak. And I feel like I'm really shining the light down there. Everything's really illuminated. And I look underneath my goggles, just a little faint amount of light's even getting down there, but because I have my MVGs on, it looked like daytime down there. I was like, oh, I'm sorry guys, we're too high. So that's ours, it's a little smaller, that's a 9-inch. This is, has 2 traditional cameras on it, for range mostly, and then this is our infrared. And then we also have a infrared, or this is our FLIR, sorry, and then we have an infrared laser pointer, pretty cool. The guys have their goggles or they have an infrared scope, and they'll see a laser light come out of the aircraft, point to where the bad guy's hiding. So MEG and FLIR, it's just showing there. FLIR is obviously detects your body heat, MEG just uses the ambient lighting. There's one of the bombers there. They found him. That's what a FLIR image would look like, a guy hiding in a boat.
That was the Boston.
Yeah.
That is so creepy looking.
These are our radios. We have like a 4-band radio, and we're monitoring at any given time. We have about seven radios up. Everybody's gawking. We're trying to figure out what we can help with, and that's our handheld. Not sure what he's pointing out here, but this reminded me. We flew up to the Minarets to look for Steve Fawcett up there, pretty high-profile millionaire. He crashed up there. They found his wallet because they figure a bear probably ate him. But we go up to this area. We're looking for an airplane. And they have us searching this knoll about this close. So I figured we must have been looking for a watch or something. But we're looking for airplane wreckage. So we fly around all day long, about 6 hours up there, pretty tough work. Insert a bunch of search and rescue people. The sheriff says, hey, you wouldn't believe how bad Yosemite wants to come down and help with this search and rescue because it's Steve Fawcett. So he goes, but the area is too small, so I'm not going to let him in here. So, okay, we're going to break for fuel real quick. They come in, and they say that they have about a 10-minute search window, and they got to get back to Yosemite, and they find the aircraft. I'm like, ah, that sucks. In hindsight, there's a big tail boom, there's wheels, there's a motor, and I thought we were looking in these little cracks for something. That's kind of what it reminded me of. All right, question time. Hey, so we're open. If you guys had a call or try to understand what we do, I'll admit when I got here, there's a call goes out to Cal Valley for a possible stroke. The medic says, hey, start the helicopter. If it's a legitimate stroke, then we're justified in doing the transport. If there's a window for TPA or whatever the treatment's going to be, then we could argue and say, hey, it makes sense. Start the aircraft out there. We'll get them. We'll bring them in. We could probably be back to twin quicker than the unit could even get out there. So I'm new. I hear him, and I was like, oh, they must want me to take this call. We fly out there, land in the guy's front yard. He's not having a stroke. He probably had a syncopal episode at best. And I'm like, oh, they probably want me to take him. They asked me to come out here, load him up, we're gone. The guys are halfway out there. Get QI, you know, like, hey, what's going on? I tell Dave, I said, hey, this guy got him sitting up. He's watching the ride out there, you know. And so in my error, I should have said, the intent was not for me to take a BLS patient in the aircraft. It was to be cognizant of what somebody might be going through and they may benefit from it. So I just give that illustration to say, we're trying to do it right. You know, we want to do it right. Sometimes we'll miss it. Sometimes we'll say, how in the world can we sit here and wait all this time? We can be done before they even get here. So sometimes we'll reserve that right and then get questioned by the EMSA. And it's like, it's not a big deal. We should be questioned. Why are we doing what we're doing? Especially if we're driven by money, then there should be some accountability why we do what we do. Why are we exposing these people to the situation? For me, my biggest thing is that if we take a BLS call, then when there's a true ALS call, now we're tied up with the body. So for me, we do them out there. Cal Valley, they suck, it takes forever to get out there. We go land in their front yard, load them up, and it's normally a benign medical. We were out there one day loading up a guy, and they dispatch a grinder out at the Y. And I'm like, this is where we should be available for. So that's our intention. We do have intentions to, there's a certain call that we're being applicable for, but we have messed some stuff up. So you guys have any questions?
Well, just to clarify on the EMSA side, so we are not the only person that QIs helicopter calls. So know when there's questions, we get requests from hospitals, physicians, bystanders. Why did this happen? So a lot of times we're doing a preemptive because we know at our EMCC board meeting someone's going to say, you guys took a broken ankle from Cal Valley to Twin. Why? So it is part of the community asking us questions. And then there's also, obviously not with you guys, but with CalSTAR, contractual things that come into play. So we do have to QI them. So we're not all that all the time.
Yeah, and I don't mean it in a bad way. That's one thing I really enjoyed about being a medic is getting QI'd on things. And to me, it's like, unless you were there making those decisions, but like I told Jerry on our last call, I said, they're probably going to ask you about that call. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
To me, it's like...
we will be.
Yeah. To me, it's like, well, unless you're there and you vibe on everything that's going on, then it's easy to sit here and go, well, how about this? How about that? How about triage? How about a black? How about a red's a black? How about you're overwhelmed or whatever? To me, it's not a negative thing. I like it. I joke with Dave, you can be a pretty whiz-bang paramedic, go to QI and then put your PCR up there and then play your rundown. Like, well, I guess it didn't do as good as I did in my own mind, you know? I like that. I think it's great. It's a great quality for us to go, I'm going to be judged by my peers on what decisions I'm making. What have I done to protect myself? Like, we get a call out of the Dunes guys, 9 out of 10 lumbar back pain secondary to bottoming out his quad, you know? And I'm like, this is a no-brainer. I'll take this guy all day long, and I would argue with any of the docs. Why would you bounce that guy down the Dunes? Who knows? You know, who knows what he has going on? Maybe it's nothing. But to me, I like to reserve that right, you know. So
absolutely, and that's for us. Any call, whether it's helicopter or ground ambulance, we get questions. So it's justifying and your thought process because we aren't there, and the people that are asking questions aren't there. So it's clarification for everyone. And there are some times where it's just, okay, it was just the wrong decision, whatever. But again, it's just transparency and clarification for everyone that we are being responsible with all of our resources. So.
I would say for QI, with whether it's the EMSA or whether it's St. Louis Ambulance, I'm sure you guys have your own QI. Gosh, there's a lot of agencies that don't have QI, but I think we've gone to this trend where I really can't remember a time where QI from the county or from us has been severely punitive. It's always been, let's learn from this. What could we have done better? What did you do really well?
Well, and that's one
What
of the things we're looking
opportunities?
at is clarification. So where are our weak points in policies or verbiage that we can make things clearer? I mean, and I know that's one of the things that we're talking about right now is the time factor and taking into account, you know, spooling down, reconfiguring for everyone. When you get to the hospital, how long does it take for you to get from the pad to the door? So all of those things that we all kind of know because we're dealing with it, but getting that out to the field and getting clarification for everyone. So there is a comfortability with I am making a sound decision for everyone. So.
Yeah, I think for us, where we recognize a slow point is dispatch. If the guys are already on scene or gals are already on scene and then now they've asked us to launch, for us, if we're getting auto launch, we feel we have a better application. But I think we still have to show constraint and go, hey, that doesn't meet criteria, or talk the medic down saying, hey, it seems like this, but look at all these indicators that this is a pretty stable situation, or something like that, which we try to do. So for us, like I say, I enjoy it. It's like, well, unless you were there, it's tough. And to me, to not be questioned on anything, it's like, well, why did you decide to do it the way you did? Because whatever.
Well, and even the access, the patients that they may be considered BLS, but it is an access point. And like to your point, is it safer to just directly transport that person to a helipad, or is it safer to land somewhere, transport them to ground, and then have them? So it is. It's again, you're there, so it's all of those factors, and just getting the information to the people that are asking the questions.
Yeah. Like I say, I think you're right. We're all trying to be better at our job. And to me, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. No. It's like, yeah, somebody's going to ask questions, and hopefully we've thought about that already and we have the answer. For us in law enforcement, it's to know that there's some attorney out there who's going to try to get you on something. And to me, there's nothing wrong with being motivated by that. You're like, hey, I'm not here to say whether you did what you did or not, but I'm here to do a good job and be essentially above reproach from an attorney. Or that call on 41 in Clark out there, it turns out the kid's dad, it's a 19-year-old kid, he's drunk driving, he TC's out there, he's ejected, found later. We pick him up, I know he's gonna code, you could tell, you're like, yeah, this guy's probably gone there pretty quick. So Mulaney's out there and I'm like, he can either die in the bus and I can go with him, or he can die with me and we'll go in the helicopter. So much quicker, we were able to fly a lot faster in the helicopter, but in hindsight, the kid's stepdad is a retired LA medic and he wants to know why I didn't transport to the trauma center in Fresno. And to me, it's like, just because someone's labeled a trauma center, we worked in that system over there, and it's like your trauma gets in line with the rest of the traumas. Yeah, but mine's a this, yeah, but mine's shot, mine's stabbed, mine's whatever, you know, so. To me, I like being motivated like that. What's going to come down the line? What are they going to try to attack me on? To me, it's like we could play devil's advocate both ways. Oh, that's dangerous. That benign femur fracture, you know, we pull traction and transport that all day long. Or if you do have a femoral, you know, if they do cut their femoral artery and they have the potential to bleed out, then you could take a benign call and go, well, what if this? What if that? So, any questions?
I think you guys do a great job.
Yeah.
I like when you auto launch because then you're already there and then you can decide from there where to go.
I think the issue for us is, and I do think that there's going to be sort of like a philosophical shift, because I know that you guys and us and a lot of agencies are working on. There's a special working group, and I mean it's a constantly evolutionary policy. The helicopter is, but I know it's actively being worked on right now. They thought maybe it would be done by now, but haha.
Staff.
So it'll be, you know, you're going to see new stuff coming out at the beginning of the next year's first quarter, I believe. So what was my point in that? Well, first of all, I think that our mindset has been like, we don't want to request. We are really happy when you guys auto launch or get requested, but we don't want to request. We don't want the liability of requesting and then there's a bad outcome or it didn't meet criteria or whatever. But once you're requested by another agency, and there's other agencies that are really quick to request,
shall rename nameless.
that's not a bad thing for us. And I think that we feel really comfortable. I would hope that most people feel comfortable saying, okay, so this is what we got. What's the best thing to